Total Rock Studios gifted us with the Big Game Alpha this weekend, which gives gamers an in-depth test of their brand new game, Evolve. Evolve is an asymmetric style game where 4 people play as hunters, tracking down and killing the monster, aka the 5th player, before he can evolve into a beast they can't control. Throughout the course of a round, the power balance of hunters versus monster can change drastically, so it's up to the hunters to track and catch the monster as quick as possible, while the monster needs to use stealth tactics to evade the hunters long enough to evolve. I had an alpha key and was able to spend some time playing this weekend, so here are my impressions on what the game does well, some issues I have with it, and my opinions regarding the final game. I love when a game puts emphasis on teamwork. It's why I've been a bigger Battlefield fan than a Call of Duty guy. Evolve does a wonderful job of forcing hunters to work together towards their ultimate goal. On the other side of the spectrum, lone wolfers would find some solace in the monster, depending solely on themselves and their own skills to outwit the hunters. In this way, Evolve appeals to both playstyles and philosophies regarding teamwork. The mechanics of all the characters, including the monsters, are sound. Each has their own identifiable strengths and weaknesses, and each requires a different playstyle and care in order to perfect. Even hunters that share classes have extraordinary differences that complement different playstyles, allowing for gamers to find complementary characters in different classes. This depth is what will keep players playing for a longer time. However, there are still some flaws in the system as it stands, both from a technical and balance standpoint. The matchmaking right now is unsuitable, mostly due to the fact that this was an alpha. When the full game launches, players should be able to find a game without waiting 20 minutes. There are also balancing issues in case of hunters versus monster. The monster need only depend on the successes and failures of one person, whereas each of the hunters have to depend on themselves and 3 others. Because of this, a game could be grossly in the monster's favor due to the inability of one hunter and not necessarily the skill of the monster. While this comes with the inclusion of teamwork, it can be frustrating, especially since during the alpha there was no vote to kick option. I played several matches where one hunter was idle and quite literally dead weight, and due to this, we lost those matches. If we had been able to kick him and a bot takeover, we may have done a little bit better. This has been noticed by the community, with outcries that the monsters are overpowered. While I believe that the game has been balanced well, it doesn't account for human error. But there are ways to counteract this human balancing inefficiency. Firstly, through the use of less specialized hunters. As of now, classes determine your primary roles, with many characters not having a secondary role to fill. Though differences occur between characters within each class, your role in the group is determined as such. Medics keep people alive, assaults deal an insane amount of damage, trappers track and trap the monster, and supports support. If one hunter is not pulling their weight, it is very difficult for the rest of the hunters to fill that role, especially if the support is not doing their job, as they are intended to fill the gaps that others leave. While I understand that this is the point of teamwork, as of now I think some of the gaps are too large to fill. There are some things that I'd like to see in the final game, such as private lobbies. I mostly played in a party this weekend. Since that's the case, I don't have a lot of experience playing as the monster. A private lobby system where players don't gain experience would solve that problem and allow for casual local area play, much like those Left 4 Dead parties we all used to have. Much in the same vein, a casual versus hardcore lobby system, or even a level-based lobby system would be nice so that the balancing issues I mentioned before don't weigh too much. One thing I hope they do is a more in-depth hunter versus monster dynamic. As of now, the primary hunters do well against the primary monster, and the secondary hunters do well against the secondary monster, especially in regards to the trapper and assault class. With more monsters and hunters on the way, it would be nice to see the dynamic that each hunter character excels against a certain monster, does well against other monsters, and is total crap against one of the monsters. This depth would allow for a greater strategy and tactics in terms of monster skill and hunter knowledge. Finally, as it stands with the content shown and the content announced to be announced, I don't see myself paying full price for this game. It is a wonderful, beautifully rich game, but with only 4 monsters and 12 hunters, I don't think it's worth the $60 asking price. There's still plenty of time for Turtle Rock to announce additional content to sway me, but as it stands, I will not be purchasing until the game is on sale. I will be doing an in-depth look at each of the classes in a future video. Subscribe and like to see gameplay and more.